Welcome back to Let's Get Haunted with your host,
Sexy Mothman.
And a Ningen, aka a manta ray but bigger.
I was gonna say you look like a manta ray but larger.
But bigger, right?
Yeah.
Like if you took a regular manta ray
and then
you
you
made it bigger.
Right.
Right.
It's like if the manta ray was small, the opposite of that.
Right. So if you take a small manta ray and then you like have an enlarging ray gun,
right,
and then you made it bigger.
Yeah.
That's what I am right now.
Yeah, that's how I feel. I mean, that...
Oh, I'm so glad that that's what you're feeling.
Yeah, that costume is, like, amazing.
Thank you.
I really love it. Is it warm?
Too warm, and I will be sweating, and I will smell poorly by the end of this. But I want to say to our audience, welcome back, guys, to episode 89 of Let's Get Haunted. We are back with our third episode of Spooky Season 2021, and the hits just keep coming because today we are joined by a very, very, very special guest who we've been wanting to collaborate with
forever
since we started this podcast, probably since before we started this podcast.
Since it was before I was born. Actually, there's a prophecy written about this
the
moment.
oracle in ancient Greece said that this was going to happen today. It's coming to fruition. And let me introduce her. Our guest today is a Japanese translator, voiceover actor, and YouTuber who is most well known for her work in new media, conducting anime reviews, Japanese lessons, silly translations, gaming videos, and other vlogs, including one where she reviewed different types of food that I want to talk to you about in a minute. Reina, oops, already said your name. You can find her. You can find her on YouTube and TikTok, where she is very active. It is the one, the only Reina Scully.
Thank you so much for having me on.
Yes,
Reina.
We
Those
missed
are air
you
horns.
so much, and
Yeah.
I feel like we should first address the costumes.
Right.
Reina, perhaps we start with you.
Right.
What are you
Okay.
today for Halloween?
Oh, well, okay. So I wanted to talk about a bunch of Japanese ghosts because they scare the absolute shit out of me, especially now that I live in Japan. I try really hard not to talk about ghosts because I'm like really legitimately very afraid of them.
Right.
Yeah.
But one of the ghosts I have to talk about is Kuchisake Onna, which means slit-mouthed woman.
Yes.
So this bitch is really close to my heart because I have an iron deficiency and I have like little cuts on the sides of my mouth.
Oh.
And it's always been a thing since like I've been on camera. Everybody's like, what's wrong? Wear chapstick. And I'm like, I do. And
People
when
are
I came
so
to Japan, a bunch of comments would come in Japanese, obviously, and they would literally call me Kuchisake Onna because the sides of my mouth are cut. And I was like so butthurt about it, but I do understand.
I would be butthurt.
I would too. I would be like,
butthurt.
first of all, why can you guys see that well? Like, this is,
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I know.
Yeah,
I was like, I'm sorry, my camera's so good.
Right.
But
sorry, I'm bringing you the top quality 1080p or 4K, whatever the highest is,
5G
like content. Yeah, 5G
Today-
content.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So today I'm here to own it. And the whole point of, and I'll go into more details later, but the whole point of Kuchisake Onna is you can't tell that there's anything wrong with her because she's wearing a surgical mask because people wear masks in Japan.
Yes.
And like, it's just so, pandemic-y and perfect.
Yeah.
Yes.
So the whole point of her is like, she comes up to you and asks you like, do you think I'm pretty? And if you
have
say
to
yes
check
or
her.
no, it doesn't really matter because then she reveals her mouth like this and she goes, do you still think I'm beautiful? And it's just like supposed to be really freaky.
Reina.
Wow.
But
The
very
earrings,
nice.
Totally, I can't.
Yeah, this is like my wings can move. So if you guys aren't watching this on YouTube, please go watch it on YouTube.
Oh, I
But-
forgot to say,
Yeah.
yes, if our audio listeners are probably so confused,
Right.
please go to youtube.com/C/Let's Get Haunted. Come see Reina's bloody mouth.
Right.
And Natalia, we've got to talk about your costume next.
Yeah, so I was gonna say a sexy Mothman, but I feel like it doesn't. That's just like what is it where it's redundant?
Oh,
You know?
yeah.
Like
yeah.
it's just Mothman,
Right, like wet water.
Yeah,
Sexy
exactly.
Mothman.
Like
Yeah.
same thing.
Absolutely.
And I found these amazing wings that open up. Well, I can control the right and the left individually, but I also feel like it's like very sexual. Like you see something you like,
amazing.
and you're like, You know what I mean?
It's like you can control the boner. It's
it's like a wing boner. So for those of you guys who might be visually impaired or like driving right now and can't watch YouTube, Alyssa is dressed up as a giant ningen / perhaps a manta ray, but larger.
Now, hold on just a moment. I am going to, I know I'm a little box in the corner, so you guys are going to have to use your imagination. But
she's standing up. She's revealing.
Perfect.
Wow, she's giving us a crotch shot. There is a tail on the end of that. That is amazing.
Now,
well
hold
done.
Hold on. Here we go, guys.
My
Gotta
God.
twerk it out as a
She's
ningen.
turning around, ningen style. Ningen style.
Incredible.
And then we've
Ningen
got
style.
Reina over here is how do you say Kuchisake Onna?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. It's Kuchisake Onna, but Onna just means woman. So like Kuchisake is enough. It just means slit mouth. But I'm basically Asian Joker.
Right.
Yes.
So
I love it. And she's got like literally a slit going from ear to ear, bleeding. And it looks like, okay, maybe I just have bad vision, but one of your eyes is white.
all right, I screwed up because the whole point of this Kuchisake Onna is that you can't tell that there's anything wrong with her until she removes her surgical mask.
Oh, yeah.
But I have these like really awesome
They're
yellow
spooky.
colored contacts
Yeah.
that I
Right.
bought for a cosplay 2 years ago. And you know, since the pandemic, I haven't been able to
Right.
cosplay or do anything, and it's going to go to waste. Like they have an expiration date,
I like
and I didn't
it.
want it to go to waste.
If
So I
you-
shoved it in there, but then afterwards I was like, oh my God, that was dumb. Like you're not supposed to be able to see
No,
there's
I
anything
love
wrong.
it.
But there's not necessarily something wrong with someone who has a yellow eye. They could just have like jaundice, but that's like
Jaundice?
part of their style. you
Yeah,
know?
Truly.
it's like, hey, I'm a
It's a-
trendsetter.
yeah.
I choose to have jaundice.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Anything's
Thank
possible.
you.
Yes,
Yeah.
love it. Quickly, I just want to say, Michael, I just realized I can't hear myself in my headphones, and I just want to make sure, because sometimes what ends up happening, which is probably what I'm doing right now, is I'm just screaming, and I have no idea.
Could it be too that you've got a ningen between you and your headphones?
Oh.
Hold on. Quick ningen check. Hold on.
Alyssa's costume is like a onesie that's
Test,
like
test,
goes
test.
over
No, I
her
still
head
can't hear
too. Oh
myself.
no,
No.
no.
Hey.
I put my wings up. Oh,
Oh.
mine's going in and out now.
Wait.
This is exciting.
Yeah, I don't know.
I wanted to get so I had red contacts that I bought specifically for this costume. I'm wearing like a black cat suit, wings, and like red eye
Love it.
makeup.
Check.
And I got these contacts, but they didn't come in the mail on time. So I don't know if like Amazon just lied and said they sent them, or I don't know what the deal is.
It could be anything. Maybe someone in the Amazon packing facility had to use the restroom, and so your contacts aren't here on time
Yeah.
because Jeff Bezos came down from his heavenly.
He came back from space.
Yeah, and was like, "You can't use the bathroom.
Right.
Pack these contacts."
Yeah,
Then he-
how dare you?
Yeah.
How dare you unplug your catheters?
Yes. Well, Reina, we usually start. Sorry, guys, if this is distracting. I'm like taking my costume on and off. But Reina, we usually start by asking our guest what their relationship is, if anything, with the paranormal. Do you, for example, do you believe in the paranormal, or where do you draw the line with
You can
what you
only
believe
say
in?
yes.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I wholly and thoroughly believe in the supernatural. I think most Japanese people do. We're very, very superstitious.
Mhm.
And I think that relationship and being superstitious as cautionary tales has a lot to do with also just like generally believing in it. But I want to be a purveyor of science and like logic and all that stuff, but I really, with my whole entire body, believe in ghosts, and
Yeah.
I am so afraid of them. And they're extra scary in Japan. I don't know why. Like maybe it's
They are.
because I'm Japanese. Like I just like don't know what the hell it is, but I am thoroughly freaked out by supernatural things and ghosts in Japan. And I feel like they're always around and they're nearby. And
Yeah.
like if you call out to them too much, they'll like come at you.
Right.
So I refuse to watch Asian or Japanese horror movies here
Smart.
because I will
Smart.
not be able to go
Right.
to the bathroom. I
Yeah.
can't do it. I like
Yeah.
literally can't. I also will have a hard time walking around the streets at night around here because I live in like the deep countryside, like way, way far away from any city.
Right.
And it's developed a lot since I was younger. But when I was younger, it was like gravel streets and shit, like no street lights anywhere whatsoever, in the middle of like 3 different mountains. And I don't know, like everything is really old and scary. Like our cemeteries are like thousands of years old.
No.
Like
Yeah.
my shrine is like
No.
800 years old. Yeah.
No.
Like it's some scary shit. So I try really hard not to like call out to them because I
Right.
feel like they're gonna get like attracted to me and
Right.
like come at me. So yeah.
They're gonna be like, clearly you believe in us, so we can like use your support right now. you
Yeah.
know?
I know. Or like they want to like maybe talk through me or
Yeah,
something.
no,
fuck
I
that.
don't know.
Absolutely fuck
But yes,
that.
I very deeply believe in them. So I'm really glad to be on this podcast so I can talk about it.
Yeah. I feel like too what you were saying about Japanese horror movies, they like are legit way scarier than any other horror movie. Like The Ring.
Do you think so too?
Yeah, like The Ring and The Grudge, maybe because I was like young, but they like nothing hit me like that. Those movies are built different.
Yeah.
You know, like still to this day, I like think about that. You know, like whenever there's like a chair that's turning the opposite way, I'm like, it's gonna turn around. It's gonna be
A
something
dead, like
fucked up in
decapit-
it.
Yeah, fucked up
yeah,
face.
or I'm like,
Yeah.
you know, I'm gonna open up a door to the closet and there's gonna be like someone in the corner, like fucked
Oh
up.
my god, okay.
Anytime I look down a well or there's like small spaces or whatever, I just feel like there's gonna be the ring in
A
there.
little girl's gonna crawl out
Yeah,
and
and then
get
too,
you.
For no reason at all, they just like murder horses in that movie, which is like very rude to me as well.
It is,
Right,
it is.
yeah.
That's like a personal attack to you.
Yeah.
yeah. Personal attack on every horse girl around the world.
Yeah,
Horse
yeah.
love transcends culture, language, genre of movie.
Right.
Yes.
I put my
Definitely
wings
agree.
up for that, if you notice.
Yes.
Yeah, I saw-
No, okay, so Reina, so you believe in ghosts, as I think
I believe in all of them.
Yeah, okay, all of them. Do you
All of them.
What do you think of like cursed objects or
Oh.
cursed places? Do you believe
I believe in
them?
them.
Yeah.
I will never go. I'll
Oh,
never
really?
go there. Ever. I will never, ever go to a cursed place. So I actually live really, really close to Suicide Mountain here in Japan. I live
Really?
like dangerously close to it.
Wait, in the
I will-
Akihagara?
Yeah, Akigahara.
Okay.
Like I'm like really Akigahara, and I'm like actually very physically close to it, but I will never ever get anywhere near it. Like I will go around the side of another mountain to get to the other side if I have to. Not that I've
Really?
had to, but I've like
But you
researched
would.
routes. Yeah, I researched routes to like never have to go in that vicinity.
Right.
I am so afraid of cursed objects. I will not go near them. Like I'll do like a little prayer or like I'll just like do my best to not go around it and I'll like pray like, okay, please don't look at me. Please don't look at me.
Yeah.
Like I'm not here.
No.
Make yourself small and unassuming.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
And do you think that like belief in ghosts and belief in like cursed objects and stuff, do you feel like that's unique to you, or do you think like it's kind of permeates all throughout Japanese culture? And do you see any difference with like the new generation, like Gen
Mm.
Z versus like maybe your parents and their belief in
You
the paranormal?
know, that's such an interesting question because I think I am particularly afraid of them. But my cousin, who is around our age, is also very freaked out of it, or freaked out by it. And my parents, on the other hand, they're like very aware, not even acutely, they're like hyper aware of it. And they won't ever, like, they won't touch cursed things either, probably because Japanese people are, again, really sensitive to
Right.
superstitious things. Like, if you're told not to do something because of some kind of folkloric cautionary tale, like you're just not going to do it because there's no need to. There's no need to
Right.
like test that boundary. So they believe in it to that degree, but they don't think like they're going to get cursed. I don't think
Mm-hmm.
they're going to get haunted. Whereas my cousin and I don't know why. Actually, so let me start over. My cousin is a shrine maiden, or she used to be a shrine maiden.
Wait,
so
what's that? What's that?
It's really simply put just a part-time job, but you work
Burn. Burn.
you work for the shrine and you wear that like white kimono top with the red like hakama bottom, and you essentially like you sell charms at the shrine, you clean the shrine, you like do some type of ritual, sometimes you perform weddings or sometimes you perform exorcisms, and like they're not
She's
like
a witch?
I know. They're not like American depicted exorcisms. They're very, very Asian. So it's really not as like scary and like foaming at the mouth kind of
Right.
thing. It's really like for your soul.
Right.
But
Okay, so like a cleansing, maybe
Right.
like the
Yes,
the LA
yes,
version
exactly.
is like
Yeah.
those shamans that come and do like light work or Reiki
Palo
or whatever.
Santo.
Yeah.
yeah. It's a lot more like that. And it's actually kind of cool and fun and not
Cool.
like horrific.
Yeah.
So She used to be a shrine maiden and she was one for a really, really long time. And she didn't really want to do it, but it's kind of a family tradition. And we're a shrine family. Like my family name is not mine because my parents took my dad's last name, but my like family name has a relationship with the shrine. So oftentimes a lot of those family members become shrine maidens or priests or things like that. So I think maybe that's why, because she was forced to be in the shrine at like all hours of the day and night. And like she was really made to be close with like all these like spiritual things, which is great. Like it's supposed to protect you. So it's supposed to be like a really positive thing.
Yeah.
But there is something really scary about walking through a shrine at night, especially like really large shrines.
Yeah, no.
So yeah, they're like pretty freaky. So I think maybe that visual coupled with the fact that like she knows that spirits are really like truly out there, I think maybe messed with her.
Yeah.
And because I'm physically close with her and like our ages are close and we always hung out together and I always would like watch her do all these things, I think maybe that's why I'm extra freaked out of it as well.
No, I don't blame you. Yeah. Well,
but I think, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, and especially like if it's something where I feel like in the US, it's just like so much different. Like our idea of ghosts here are not linked necessarily to religion at all. Like angels and stuff like that, I would say. But that, I mean, do you consider that a ghost? Do you not? So I feel like here it's like, it's because it's overwhelmingly Christian, it's like, don't believe in ghosts. Like the parents are like, don't believe in ghosts. Don't like, that's like evil. That's like bad energy or whatever.
Right.
And so it's interesting to hear from like a different perspective. Like, no, it's something positive. Like, this is something she grew up in.
Yeah.
Totally. It's actually overwhelmingly supposed to be positive, which is, I think, why the darker, scarier spirits are extra scary, because this is going to sound so strange. Grave sites are really not scary in Japan. Like they're not. They're really pretty, and they're like really soothing. And it's a part of the Buddhist sect of Japan. So Japan's separated between like Buddhism and Shinto Buddhism, and the dead have to do with Buddhism, and gods like fortune things are related to Shintoism. So we go to two separate different things. Like you go to a shrine or a temple for like separate things. And in that way, if you feel like something bad is following you, or like maybe you're a little bit haunted or something, you want to go to a shrine so that like a shrine maiden or a priest or like the gods can help protect you. Yeah. But if your like relative passes away or like funeral related things, those types of things are done by the Buddhist temple. And they're like I said, overwhelmingly positive entities, all of them. So if you happen to come across something that is negative and cursed and like haunted, it's extra bad. I think that dichotomy is just really, really, the contrast is really huge in Japan, which is what makes it scary. But I don't know. I think newer generations, though, just aren't that close to this like really countryside, deep central Japan type of beliefs. I'm not sure, but none of my friends are scared. Like it's just me.
Well, whatever. On this show, we think it's good to be scared.
Yeah,
we're all about getting scared.
We attracted you to our show then, right?
Yeah.
Oh, from the very beginning.
From the very beginning.
Absolutely.
Yes. Before the show was even an inkling in our eyes.
Yeah.
Yes.
When I was still just in my mom's ovaries, this was already going to be done.
I agree.
Exactly. It's fated.
Yeah. And so, Reina, okay, so cursed objects, yes. This like ghosts and like spiritualism is kind of ingrained in society and culture in Japan. What about cryptids? Are you familiar with that phrase?
What are cryptids?
So cryptids would be like Mothman.
We get to explain cryptids to someone. This is like so exciting.
Oh, wait, I just realized. Okay, I have to point this way to make it look like I'm pointing at Natalia. Okay, yes. So cryptids are like Mothman or
Bigfoot?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yes.
Yeti.
Of course.
Yeti.
Right. Oh, I didn't know they had like etymological. Okay.
Yeah.
It's just like creatures that like we don't have any scientific proof that they exist, but we have a lot of anecdotal proof that people have seen them.
So they call it cryptozoology.
Yes.
Oh, right. Duh. Of course. Okay. I should have just figured that out.
No. You're fine. Yeah, but so is there anything like that in Japan? Like, do you have like creatures
Yeah, we have a lot, like a lot,
I
and they're
love
all
that.
really ugly. It's really sad. Like they're hideous.
Oh no.
So we have this like incredible river monster called Kappa, and oh
gonna
my god,
look it
he's
up.
like half human, half frog. No, a third frog, a third turtle, and he's like bald. Right up here only, but he has like hair everywhere around
Oh,
here.
Oh, it's like the Pokemon.
What?
Well,
Kappa?
okay,
Like the turtle guy? Or no, maybe
You
he's
know
like,
what?
maybe he's not a
It's like-
Pokemon. Maybe he's like a video game character.
yeah, there's
Maybe.
a lot. There's
Yeah.
a lot of depictions of him everywhere. And it's really weird because like a lot of folklore is actually kind of positive around him. He's supposed to save drowning children. Like if you
Oh,
fall in,
look at
if like a
him.
kid falls into a river,
Oh, okay. We'll drop a
Yeah.
picture in post right here for all of you video listeners.
Yeah.
but he's ugly. Like I think he also has like a beak.
Yeah, he looks like a turtle who like is trying to be a person, but it's not working.
Right,
Yeah.
but he messed up, right? Because
Yeah.
he like has a beak and he has
And he has like a
I don't know.
bald, like a
he's
bald
slimy.
head with like
Yes,
hair
yes.
around the
Oh,
outside.
he looks stoned. I'm looking at
Yeah.
this picture that Natalia's showing me. Yes, he looks like a monk that's also a turtle that's also
You know what
really
it,
high.
You know what he looks like?
Yes.
He looks like that guy from Star Wars, Yosha. What's the old one? Someone, come on. He's like a really popular
I
dude.
don't know.
He
What,
speaks
Yoda?
backwards. Yeah, Yoda.
Oh my
I
gosh.
swear, I swear, you guys, the synapse,
Like whom?
the words do not like go together anymore. Like you can follow a thread of what I'm thinking as long as you're not tied down to like language.
Right. As long as you're not tethered to this reality.
Right,
Then
exactly.
yes,
It
yes.
makes perfect sense.
Just
in my
connect
mind.
up here.
But
Yeah.
he looks like Yoda, but yeah.
Okay, yeah, actually he kind of does. And he's just so decrepit and so ugly, but he's supposed to save drowning children.
That's cute.
Or sometimes they say that he drags children because he's jealous of them because he wants to become human.
Oh.
So I don't know which I believe. I want to believe that he's like
Right.
a positive thing because he's so hideous and I just want to like him.
Right.
I know, you feel
like,
bad
it's
for
not his
him.
fault. Yeah, he didn't
Yeah.
ask to look like a monk turtle.
Right.
I know. I
Yeah.
just want to like him. So I want to believe that he's there to like, save people or children. There is something weird. I think it might be specific to my region, but a lot of times when kids drown in rivers, this is like so dark,
Yeah.
but
Love it. I'm here for it.
yeah, the main indicator that like a child has drowned in a river is you find one of their shoes. So there is a thing where it's believed that Kappa collect children's shoes because he's like, oh, they fell into the river. They're going to be my friend. They'll for sure trust me if I give them back their shoe. So
Right.
that's kind of the idea of why you can only ever find one shoe ever in a river where
Oh.
you expect a child to have drowned. So that's another thing.
Because Kappa.
Kappa's taking the shoes.
Yeah.
He's collecting them so he can give it back to the kid to be like,
Wow.
oh,
You
like
know
we know
what?
each other. I'm trying so hard to make him positive.
I'm
No,
like, yeah,
no,
that's great.
that's
Yeah.
This is great. We've already learned about a new cryptid.
I
And we're
know.
like just not even into the story.
I know. And also, Reina, we had Kamu, who is a Hawaiian podcaster, on our podcast recently this year to talk about Hawaiian
Yes.
folklore. And we learned that there's a lot of crossover with Japanese folklore because of Japanese workers that came over to work on the sugarcane plantations in Hawaii. And he taught us about something called akasha. Have you ever heard of that?
Ooh, I've never heard of that. Akasha.
Apparently, it's from Japanese folklore. And so I just wanted to ask you if you had ever heard of it. But it's basically like a cat that's on fire that walks across roofs. Do you remember that?
I don't
Natalia?
remember that. I feel like I would remember that.
Yeah, the Kasha
Interesting.
Kaimaki. Do you know what I'm talking about? Yes, the Kasha. Sorry, I'm Googling it so that I'm not like fucking up. Yeah, I don't know if this is like, like the Hawaiian version of a Japanese ghost, but yeah, it's
Yeah.
supposed to be like when somebody, it's a cat-like demon from the sky who steals away bodies. So if somebody like dies on property and then is like buried there, the Kasha will come and like take the body.
Wow.
Oh my God, that is so scary. So I think I know what that is. We do have a version of it. So I don't think it's related for us in Japan. I don't think it's a cat, but we
Okay.
have Okay, so we have like two different things. We have a flaming horse, and we have I know. And we have I knew you were gonna get excited.
Yeah.
We have a flaming horse, and we have a flaming, I guess, a carriage.
Yes.
Which is what the horse
Yes,
is pulling, because that's what
horse.
ka. So ka is the word for ka is fire, and sha means like car or carriage or like vehicle. So I guess that's where that comes from. But yeah, we believe that dead spirits are taken away in these things, especially if they like maybe die in a violent manner. Specifically, if they die in a fire, they're definitely
wow.
taken away by the flaming horse or
interesting.
the carriage that the flaming horse is pulling.
Okay, yes, I just Googled it, and it's the kasha, which translates to burning chariot. So yes.
Oh, there you go.
Yes, is a
Oh.
Japanese yokai that steals the corpses of those who have died as a result of accumulating evil deeds or dying in a fire. So you were
Oh.
right.
You're
You're
spot
right on the money. You're
on.
spot on. This was a test, Reina. We
Yeah.
just wanted
Oh.
to see. No, just
Yeah.
kidding. It wasn't. I just couldn't remember what it was. Yeah. Okay, good. I'm glad to know that then it's interesting, like the crossover between different cultures, and
Yeah.
it's just always interesting to me to like talk to people from like someone from Hawaii or someone from Japan and like
Right.
see where
Totally.
the crossover is. Yeah.
There's also a lot of, I heard, crossover between Portuguese folklore and Japanese folklore, because there
interesting.
was a lot of, I guess, like Portuguese explorers that came to Japan way, way before Japan became westernized. So actually, a lot of our food is Portuguese, which is really strange.
Really?
Like tempura is Portuguese.
Really?
Yeah. How weird
I
is
had
that?
no idea.
I've
That's
actually
so
heard of
interesting.
things like that before. Like I heard that spaghetti was not Italian, it was Chinese or something.
Yeah.
Or like
Right, because
pizza.
noodles. Yes.
Yeah, and like pizza is not Italian, it's Chinese. And there's like
What?
famously like a man who stands with a billboard somewhere in New York City or somewhere where there's like a bunch of like a Little Italy type place, and like stands there with like a sign that says like pizza is not Italian, it's Chinese or something
What
like
a weird
that.
hill
I
to die
know.
on.
What I know, right?
Just
It
eat
is
your
really
food.
weird.
Yeah.
That's the only reason I know about it though, so I feel like it's working.
Hey, if you're on
It's working.
Yeah, if we're on Who
Yeah.
Wants to Be a Millionaire, it's all thanks to that guy that
Yeah.
we win, if that's the question.
Exactly.
Yeah, and apparently carne asada is actually Middle Eastern.
Wow.
Yeah, and that there
That
were
makes
some Middle
sense.
Eastern immigrants that went to Mexico like back in the day, and like
Right, and like chicken tikka masala is not like Indian or Pakistani or any of that. It's just like British, like 100%.
What?
Yeah, because they liked chicken tikka, and so they wanted to like make it into a plate that like you didn't have to eat stuff off the bone. It's like a whole thing.
Oh.
Yeah.
Isn't that kind of beautiful though?
I
Just
know.
like the melting of all these different cultures to the point where we don't even realize it.
Right, it's beautiful.
We're all
Yeah.
just one world
Yeah,
together.
exactly.
Wow, I'm
Insert that
crying.
"We Are the World" music video of Michael Jackson. Yes, but replace it with like a burning cat ghost
Uh-huh.
and the Slit-Mouthed woman,
Right.
and Mothman and a Ningen.
I love that.
And Reina, I had asked you about the Ningen after we did our
Yes.
episode, and you knew what it was. I was so excited.
Okay, because apparently I really do like cryptids. I do. I just didn't know
Yeah.
what they were called, I guess.
Yeah.
I
That's
love
good. It's very
freaky
nerdy
things
to
that don't
know,
exist.
but-
And I'm genuinely terrified of the ocean. I'm very afraid of depth. Like, I'm not afraid of the beach or anything like that.
Sorry, that's Natalia. Natalia's
Yeah,
also
no, I'm the
afraid.
same. The ocean, I fucking hate. Like, I can't
Yeah.
describe it. Like, I used to like surf. I like went and volunteered in
too.
Bali. I like took care of sea turtles and shit. But like, for some reason, the ocean scares the shit out of me to the point where I like stopped surfing. I like couldn't do it anymore. You know, I
Oh
just
my
like
God.
yeah,
Are we
I'm
the same
scared.
person?
I don't. It's the deepness
What the
of it.
fuck?
Like thinking,
Yes.
like it's like the opposite of claustrophobia. Like it's like a feeling
Yes.
like a vast of nothingness, and it, like space. Space really scares me for the same
Oh.
reason, because it's like I'm just gonna float away forever, and there's nothing, and
Should we
Totally.
talk? So Natalia told me about this, that she has this fear of deep water on our show, and it's
Yeah.
called
Thalassophobia?
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
you already know. Yes, I will put the word on the screen in post for all of our listeners. Thalassophobia.
Yeah, it's weird, but it's like at the same time I get mad because I don't want to be one of these people with a lame fear, like people who are afraid of spiders or like small spaces and shit. Because I feel like mine's valid. Like the ocean is scary, but I guess they feel
valid.
that way too.
It's full of
you know?
ningen, as
Yeah.
we
It's
learned.
full. So many ningen, so many things you can't know.
Exactly.
My thalassophobia is really weird and specific. I'm afraid of not being able to see what's like out there, right? So
Right.
the murkiness of the water is scary. The fact that you are slower in the water than anything else that
Yeah.
inhabits the water is
Right.
scary. Like a ningen.
You
a ningen will
literally
get you.
drown in the water too. That's like a big
You-
factor.
Yeah, we don't belong there.
Yeah.
We can't be there.
We can't survive there naturally.
No, we're not
Yeah.
meant to.
Yeah.
So I feel like thalassophobia there is such a logical, rational side to it, as opposed to I mean, like, I don't know, maybe there is kind of a rational side to all kinds of phobias to a
Right.
degree, except for maybe the one where you're afraid of like little holes, like tryptophobia. I think that's
Right.
the only one where I'm like,
Yeah,
don't
like that
understand.
doesn't make sense. I don't understand how like the evolutionary. I have a friend that has that. My friend Alyssa has that fear. And I don't understand it. I'm like, what led you to the point of being afraid of those little holes, you know?
Yeah, like a part of me understands that it's like
Ugly.
ugly and it maybe makes you feel
that's
itchy.
true.
Yeah.
I get that. Like there is kind of this carnal like that happens when you
Yeah.
see stuff like that,
Yeah.
but I'm not like afraid of it. Like I'm not going to touch it, but
Right.
Whoever has the answers, comment below. We actually have a lot of people who listen to us who have like random knowledge on. They would be so good at trivia,
Love it.
honestly.
Yes.
Like if we could have a whole Let's Get Haunted team for trivia, we would be
We'd win,
amazing. I have a
yes.
question for you though.
Unstoppable.
So if you wear shoes or like water shoes in the water or in the ocean, does it alleviate some of that fear? Because I found that like if I wear booties when I was surfing, it like made it just a little better because there was like a layer between me and all
Yeah.
that, you know?
Interesting. I don't know if that helps me, but I completely understand that only because I'm afraid of like under the bed monsters. And when
Yeah.
I'm sleeping, I'm afraid of like my foot sticking out of the sheets because
Yeah.
I feel like my sheets are protecting me,
I
right? So like
know.
that I understand
A
in a very
barrier.
derivative
Yeah,
way.
it
Yeah,
is the
I completely
barrier.
get it.
Yeah.
So what is your favorite Japanese cryptid
Oh,
or
wow.
ghost, Reina? Or monster, it could be anything
Yeah.
paranormal.
Yes.
Oh man, my favorite ghost. Okay, I like Kuchisake Onna because I was called Kuchisake Onna, like I said before. So I
Yeah.
feel like I need to like honor her.
Right.
Right.
Like you need to make her cool since people are like, oh, that's you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, she's a bad bitch.
Yeah.
Also, people
but-
are so fucking stupid. I still remember like the first time I was ever in one of Steve's videos. For listeners who don't know who Steve is, Reina and Steve had a podcast together. They had several shows together. And one time I was in one of his vlogs and someone was like, is that a witch? Because my nose, I guess, is larger than like the average white person. And so they were like, is that a witch? And I'm just like, why? Why even vocalize that? Like,
Wait, they said
I
it. They
know.
said it specifically. They said something about your nose, or they just said
about my
"Is that a
nose.
witch?"
They said something about like great tits, but if you like look at her like witch nose, it like takes everything away. And I'm like, my nose. First of
That's
all,
like hardcore incel, though.
Yeah,
I
well,
like did
yeah,
a deep
yeah.
dive on this on like 4chan once, and like the incels believe that like if you have like a nose that goes down, you're like a witch, and a nose that goes up is like an
wait,
angel.
really? This
It's
is
like
what
a
they
whole.
believe
It's
in?
a whole thing, and like if you're a mouth breather, it like contributes to your like your face like not making the angel face because you're not like mewing, putting your tongue against the roof of your mouth. It's a whole
But
thing. I don't have
aren't
time to
they-
fucking explain it. Go like look at the shit.
Don't look at incel shit, listeners. Do not.
If you want to see
That's
some really
crazy.
haunted shit, then like you can go look up incel stuff
Right.
on 4chan.
Well, I
okay?
feel like
The most haunted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like, Rita, to your point about like people making comments about the corners of your mouth.
Right.
It's like that's just
Yeah.
some incel shit. Like, why even voice that?
Right.
I will never understand. Anyway,
I
continue.
know. And I was like, I have a vitamin deficiency.
Yeah.
Like I can't help it.
Like, I'm sorry, are you gonna pay for my nose job? Because if not, then shut the fuck up. Like this, it is what it is.
People would always comment when I was in the Steve's show before. They would always say that I was trans, that they thought that I was like male to female, and it was like an awkward thing because I'm like, okay, I don't want to defend this and make it seem like there's something wrong with being
Right,
trans,
'cause
but
of
I'm
course
also
there's
Right.
not.
but I'm also not. But it's like weird now because I feel like I'm in this strange position where like what do I just not say anything, you know? And like people are like literally arguing about it in the comments, like you can see her hip injections, like yeah, she's a fake, like she's not real, like you can see a bulge, like all this stuff. And I was just kind of like, you know what? I'm just gonna not.
It's like you
I'm gonna step
have
back
to
from
come
this.
out. You have to come out as not trans.
Yeah, but then that it's like puts me in a horrible position because I don't want to like have to do that.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right,
Like
right.
there's nothing wrong with like being trans.
Yeah,
you know?
well, that's like when Kendall Jenner did an interview where she came out as not gay and not trans, and everyone, 'cause I guess there's rumors about that, and then everyone was like, oh, so brave, Kindle. Like, so wow, good for you.
It just makes you look stupid.
Yeah,
so like
yeah.
I didn't want to have to defend anything. Like there was
Right.
no winning like way out of that.
Absolutely not.
But yeah, I
That's
just wanted
insane.
to be in part of your guys' conversation.
Look, we've all, yeah. Anyway, right now, so what is your favorite monster, ghost, or cryptid?
Okay, so it's actually the Japanese version of a Ouija board. And
What?
it's called
Ooh.
it's called Kokkuri San. And okay, hold on one second. I need to bring a charm to protect my ass. Just give me 1 second.
Oh,
You guys, this is the first time on our show that we have had a charm of protection because something we've talked about is so fucking scary.
Yeah, we
Wait,
should have honestly had this from the get-go.
we should have. Wait, Reina, explain what this charm is as soon as you get it set up, because I'm
Yeah,
looking at
okay.
this, and from my perspective, it looks like a rake.
Yeah, it looks like
It
a
is,
rake
it
with like
is.
a grandma and a grandpa on it and a tree.
It is. Okay, so it's
and
not
bells.
really supposed to be a protection from like curses or anything like that. But this is called a
It really
how do I
seems
explain
like
it?
Christmas to me too. Like for some reason, like the bells and there's like a little tree on it. And
Yeah.
it's like red
It
and
is.
green.
It's a New Year's thing. So every New
Ah.
Year's you're supposed to buy new charms and you're supposed to throw away your old charms from the previous year because your charms are supposed to absorb all of your negative energy on your behalf so it doesn't attack you.
Oh.
And this one is specifically for good business and for protection of all people in the household.
Ooh,
So
that.
it's really a fortune rake. So a rake
Ah.
is supposed to be where the idea is that you want to rake in good fortune, which is why it's
Yeah.
shaped like
Oh,
an
that's
old
so
ass like
smart.
bamboo
I
rake.
love that.
And yeah, so it's not really supposed to protect me from like real curses. I like how I'm saying real, but
Yeah.
it's just supposed to like, protect you from
Whatever.
like bankruptcy, for example. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like
That's
that
the
kind
worst.
of stuff.
That could be a really bad curse, though.
That-
It could be.
That is
Yeah.
It could
getting
be.
haunted. There are many different forms of hauntings.
Right.
And yeah,
So many.
falling on hard times is definitely a
Yeah,
haunting.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I'm going to hold on to this while I talk about it because I'm
Yes.
actually very, very, this is the thing I'm most afraid of. So Kokkuri San became really popular in schools, so much so that it became banned in a lot of schools. So you can't play this Japanese version of a Ouija board during school hours because the
Oh.
idea, okay, so it's very it's very silly. It's not like a fancy Ouija board by like Mattel or Hasbro or anything like that. You write the Japanese alphabet on a piece of paper and you move a Japanese 10 yen coin, which is the
Yes, yeah.
only thing that's copper in like Japanese
Oh.
coins. And it's the same concept where like you put a finger on it, you need at least like 2 or 3 people and you just ask it questions. And Kokkuri-san is usually written out in hiragana, which is our alphabet, so everybody can read it. But there is an old way to write it, which is basically many different ways to write fox. And we deeply believe in fox spirits. Like they're
Yeah.
both positive and
Yeah.
negative, and it's like a big thing here. But this fox spirit is really shitty. And it just wants to get you.
Oh,
It just
no.
wants, yeah. So it gives you answers, and it's supposed to be this like just fun little thing that you do. But there are lots of rules to it. Like you can't ever remove your finger from the 10 yen coin until it tells you it's ready to go.
No, don't
And
like
sometimes, yeah, like, it is a lot like a regular Ouija board.
Yeah.
Like you can't just like end it. They
Right.
have to end it on their terms.
Yeah.
And the thing that scares me the most is so there's this like old story of these, I think maybe middle schoolers that were playing Kokkuri-san in their school. And I think the phrase is you're supposed to ask him to like come through the window. It's almost like a haiku, right? Like
Yeah.
it rhymes to a degree. So it's like Kokkuri-san, Kokkuri-san. All right, I don't want to say it because like
Yeah.
I actually don't know it and it really scares me. And there's a window behind me.
that. I'll
It's like-
put it up on the screen in post.
Okay, yeah, please do.
Yeah.
But and you ask him like, like come through the window, like it's open for you. And then I think you actually are supposed to draw this Shinto shrine gate on the top of your paper, which is what allows them entrance into your realm. And there's this one story where these, like, I think it was 2 or 3 girls that were doing it, and he wouldn't leave. So they didn't want to stop because he wasn't done with them.
Right.
But then he like still wouldn't leave. So they tried, actually. They're like, you know what? Screw it. Let's just go home. And their finger wouldn't like remove from the coin. So they like had to stay there. And then one girl, I think she like passed out or something from, I guess, like being hungry or being tired or like having to pee or something like that. Yeah. And so she like had to let go because I guess she like fainted or something. And then she just died. Like I know.
It's
I
not
know.
even more creative than that. It's just like she died.
No.
That's
she just
the
like
ultimate haunting thow. Like
yeah,
there's
she
no
just like
coming back.
passed out. Exactly.
It's like, what happens if I do this? You die.
Yeah. It's not like, oh, you will lose a limb or you'll...
right, like the fox is gonna come to your house and burrow through your asshole.
Yeah,
and like,
yeah.
No, like, it's not like anything
that
to
would be
do.
more welcome.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's not like anything to do with like the scariness of it. You just die.
Well, she did, and obviously there's a lot of explanations. Like,
Right.
I don't know, maybe
Which
she
he
had
really
some
died.
kind
This is
of...
a real story. This is like news.
I mean, it's so old, and I don't know,
okay.
and it was like definitely just told to us as
Right.
as again a
Like a
cautionary tale
warning.
to not play this game.
Right.
And it also was used as a reason to be like illegal in schools. Like it's not
Yeah.
allowed. You're not allowed to play this game in schools anymore. I don't know about like nowadays because
Right.
I'm old and the story's old.
Yeah.
But but it just scared the shit out of me. And also because they watched their friend like pass out,
Yeah.
they still couldn't remove their finger from it. So they just stayed there until the next morning. And then they were able to remove their finger, and they were like, wait a second, she's not sleeping, she's dead. So I think there's like all of that put together just like freaked me out. It's like they just sat next to their dead
my
friend.
gosh. No.
That could be a movie. Like, you know that movie where they like get left behind, like the snorkel tour, and it's like the whole movie is just them
No?
like getting left behind. Yeah, and then there's like another version with like Blake Lively. She's like stuck on a rock.
Oh,
and
I've
there's, like,
seen
a
that
shark.
one.
It's
I've
like
seen that
all
one.
those movies are like the same vein, like really long. Like there's one where like 2 people get stuck on a ski lift and they're like waiting and they have to like wait out the night. I feel like that could be another one of those movies.
Right.
Where like
Truly.
they
I love that movie,
have
by the way,
their-
the ski lift one.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
I've
then,
never
Yes,
right?
I
seen
do. It's scary.
Yeah.
Are there any like movies or anything about this concept, Reina, that you have just explained? Because that is fucking horrifying.
Mhm.
I think there's a movie about everything, but like Japanese movies are so like C-D rate movies here. It's like not like Hollywood, and they're so lame, but there is something kind of like freaky about them and scary about them. I'm sure there is. I'm sure there
Right.
is something about Kokkuri San. And even just saying the name freaks me out. I say it in an American accent because like I don't want to say it in like real Japanese. It's one of those things. I don't know why I'm so afraid of it.
That's so, I mean,
Creepy.
yeah,
I
there are
feel that.
definitely like we've had stories on this show before where it's like if you say this thing or if you like
Right.
do, then like you accidentally have unlocked some ritual and like something
Yeah.
bad will
Right.
happen.
Like
So
if I say like
Right.
La Llorona, it's not as scary.
La Llorona.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, no.
Yeah.
Don't.
Yeah, that's
But,
true.
Yeah. You know what I mean?
But there could be like some phrase that you just don't want to say. I feel that. Was that your,
It's
by
just
the
one of
way,
those
was that
things.
your first story, Reina? Are we into the story portion of this episode? Because I remember you
I
said you
think
wanted
we
to talk about
are.
it. Yes?
yeah.
Okay. So for those at home who are watching or listening to us, Reina and I were texting back and forth, like, how are we going to do this episode? Like, what would be the most fun? Like, and what is also like the least amount of work for like both of us?
Right.
Like, because it's just, I haven't seen you in forever. And so I was
I
like, this is just
know.
going to be more of like a conversation episode. However, I did prepare 2 little pieces of Japanese folklore that I read. And what we did with Kamu, I thought was really cool, where like, I like would read what I had read online and like researched, and then Kamu would correct me if anything was wrong. And
Love
I thought
that.
that was cool. So also maybe, Reina, if you've heard of any of these pieces of folklore that I have prepared, maybe you can correct me as well.
Sure.
So what we decided is we're gonna like switch off. So Reina's gonna do
Oh,
a story.
okay.
I'm gonna do a story. Reina's
Wow.
gonna do a
I'm about to be razzle dazzle.
story. That's right.
And-
so Reina, is this? So that's why I asked. Is this your first story? Is it my turn?
You know what?
Or?
Yes, it is. That was my first story because it's the one that scares me the most. I can't wait to talk again about Kuchisake Onna, of course, but I feel like that's like a finale thing.
Okay.
Right.
But yeah, Kokkuri San definitely scares me the most because I 100% believe in it. I like 1 gajillion% believe in it.
I looked it up when you were talking about it, and the first thing that came up was like an anime of like a girl with fox ears on, you know?
Okay. That's a really cute one.
Yeah, it was really cute. And then I like looked, and then I was like Kokkuri San board, and then I saw all of the like papers written.
And it's like handwritten, right?
Yeah, it's like handwritten.
yeah.
It's like like a brush and ink.
Sure. Yeah. That makes sense. Ew.
Yeah, it was creepy. It was very
I'm
creepy.
I'm so scared. Yeah.
That's
Ew.
like, I don't know. Like, I feel like Ouija boards in general, like any
know,
form of
so
Ouija
bad.
board is just like asking for it. And I know we had Sapphire Sandalo on our show, who I believe knows you, Reina. And she came on and did a Filipino folklore episode with us. And she was talking about how she's kind of like made peace with the idea of the Ouija board because it's just a tool. And so like whatever, it's like your intention that like makes it haunted or not.
I have
haunted.
not. No, I think it's scary.
Yeah, but I feel like I have not like transcended to that plane of like acceptance.
Yeah,
of
I'm not on that
haunted
level
shit.
yet.
Yeah.
Me neither. I can't get around the fact that no matter what you're calling on to, probably a negative spirit, just I don't know. I don't think it's my fault. I think it's them. Like they're scary.
Yeah,
I feel like
I won't invite them.
I feel like happy like people aren't playing weird games with people they don't know. You know, like you're hanging out with your friends. Like you know, when you're going out, like if you're trying to leave your group and go meet other people, it's generally because you're dissatisfied with your group. You know what I mean? So like in the spirit world, I feel like if there's a spirit who's like trying to communicate with these other people rather than just hang out with the spirits, like
totally
they're not happy, you know?
Right.
And like a not happy spirit is a bad guy.
Yeah,
probably.
maybe like they haven't accepted their death yet.
Yeah.
So they're like, I gotta find a human to like enter so that I can be flesh and blood.
Or they're
again.
just bored and mischievous and like want to fuck stuff up. I don't know.
Yeah, could be.
Yeah.
Well, my first story of today, because I am, shocker, not Japanese, I can't, like, I don't know this stuff inside and out, right? Like Reina does. So I had to, like, write a paragraph. So I'm going to read you guys this paragraph, and then I would love to hear your reactions, Natalia, and then also, Reina, I would like to hear any corrections
That's
you
not
may have.
optional. You're getting my reactions no matter what. So.
Okay. Well, I begin, as always, with a question. Natalia. Have you ever heard of Hitobashira?
Hitobashira. No, I have not.
Now, Reina, can you pronounce that correctly for me?
You're doing fine. It's Hitobashira, but like there's no need to pronounce it super Japanese.
Okay, all
yeah,
right.
there's no need to like do the hard
like
R.
That. Hitobashira.
Oh, that's
wow.
cute.
You guys are good.
Well, I'm not going to do it because it's just going to be bad. But okay, so Hitobashira, which loosely translates to human pillar, is a cultural practice formerly observed in Japan, China, Burma, Indonesia, and other areas of East and Southeast Asia. This historic cultural practice called for a sacrifice to the gods when constructing large-scale buildings such as dams, bridges, castles, and the like. But just what was this sacrifice, you might ask? Burying humans alive in or near the inside of foundations of buildings.
This is real? Like if you go to a building and tear it down, there's a dead person in there?
Well, it's debatable, as I will shortly explain. But it's said that this is a cultural practice observed in many parts of Asia, and the oldest known example of this happening is supposedly, allegedly in Japan.
Okay.
Okay, so some of the earliest written records of Hitobashira can be found in the Nihon Shoki, or Chronicles of Japan. One particular story from this tome relays the tale of Emperor Nintoku. Emperor Nintoku was allegedly the 16th emperor of Japan, who reigned from 313 AD to 399 AD. And I say allegedly because there is actually this is why I say allegedly, because there is actually no concrete proof that he even existed, but it is generally accepted by historians that he did, though the dates of his period of power are still hotly contested. Because like, how can you reign 87 years and like if you rise to power in your teens? I guess you can.
Killer, maybe
I guess you can.
Yeah.
So regardless of whether or not he actually existed, this is the first example of human pillar. And the legend goes that there were two rivers, the Kitakawa and the Mamuta, that were prone to overflowing. Seeking a way to construct something that might prevent flooding in the future, Nintoku met with the best engineering minds of his kingdom. They informed him that it would be impossible to prevent the flooding. Troubled, Emperor Nintoku went to bed that night and proceeded to have a prophetic and divine dream.
Oh.
He dreamed that there were two men living in his kingdom who held the key to preventing this flooding. Their names were Kawakubi and Koromono Ko. When the emperor awoke from his slumber, he immediately demanded to his men that these two men be found, and miraculously, his soldiers did find these two men. Then, in accordance with his dream, he threw both of them in the rivers, one in each river, and drowned them. Following this act, his engineers were suddenly able to come up with a marvelous solution to construct an embankment that would prevent the rivers from flooding. Natalia, what are your thoughts, Natalia?
Hold on. Okay, so you're telling me this guy that reigned for 87 years was sleeping and he had like a nightmare that there were two guys?
He had like a vision. So this is, again, this
vision.
is why I say allegedly, because it's like
Okay.
how much of this is legend, how much of this is true.
Right.
But this is the earliest known text that
Yeah.
can be found on this topic of human pillar.
So he had a vision that he needed to go find these guys and throw them in a river?
Yes, and the vision even told him what like province they could be found in or prefect they could be found in, and then what their names were.
Wow. And so he went and
What?
found two guys with that name and threw them in the river?
Yes, and his men, I mean, I don't think he personally did it, but
Yeah,
like
but his
he
men
did
did.
the order. And then as soon as these two guys drowned in these two rivers, his engineers were like, you know what? We previously said it was impossible, but we found it. We like Jimmy
Right.
Neutron brain blasted a solution.
So the human sacrifice
worked. Yes.
So weird.
Wow.
Why didn't the prophecy just tell him how to do the dam?
Because
Why did he have to
because
kill two people?
prophecies are cryptic by their
Right, they
very
are.
nature.
They are.
And they require you to do the legwork.
They
Like
do.
it's not fair if they're just like, "Hey, I'm God. This is
Yeah.
how you build it. Here's like the blueprint."
I wonder what their names were. Like if it was just a really generic Japanese name and like
Well, I'll ask Reina, since we have you. Do you know
Yeah.
if in modern times are these common names or rare names? The first one is Kowakubi. Kawakubi.
Kowa. What was it?
Kowakubi.
Koa?
Koa.
Kawakubi.
Yeah.
That is such a weird name.
Okay.
Well,
So
keep in mind
mainly,
this is 300 AD.
yeah. That is like extremely rare and barely a name. So
okay.
it's
Okay, so good. So it rules
no.
out that like, he just went and got two random people.
Right. Like if the name was like Bill Smith.
Yeah, yeah.
you
right,
could go
right.
find any-
It's really specific, and also it's a weird name because like kubi in Japanese means neck, but it also means head. Like when you say
Oh.
like take their head, you say like take their neck in Japanese.
Mm.
I'm sure it's not the same kanji, but because of that, nobody has that in their name. Like
it's,
nobody
like,
would have
dark.
it in their surname. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. So maybe I wonder if this guy was born to die. If,
Right.
like, and that's why
Wow.
the vision was like, find this guy with this weird name that like nobody would ever have this word in their name.
Aren't we all born to
Damn.
die?
Well-
that's such a sick tattoo.
That's such a Lana Del Rey thing to say. Yeah.
Is it?
I feel like, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so now my next story of Hitobashira is, according to Wikipedia, our favorite source on this show, another example of Hitobashira can be found in a famous historical diary from the 15th century called the Yasutomi Ki. And in this text, the author writes that in the tradition of Hitobashira, a woman who was carrying a boy on her back was kidnapped when she walked past the river Nagara, where a large and complex bridge was set to be built. Her kidnappers then buried her alive in the area where the foundation of the bridge would be laid in the following days. And this
Huh.
ensured that the bridge would be structurally sound.
What?
Yes.
What was her child also?
Okay, I had the same thought and I could
Okay.
not find what happened to the child. So I
No.
don't know.
No.
Okay, now another legend of Hitobashira comes from the story of one of the of how one of the oldest surviving castles in Japan was built.
Yes.
Okay, this castle is called the Maruoka Castle
Mhm.
and was constructed in 1576 by a man named Shibata Katsutovo. And Shibata was the adopted son of one of the leading army generals of the time. The legend goes that while Shibata was building his castle, one of the stone walls around the perimeter kept collapsing, no matter how many times the workers tried to lay the stones. One of Shibata's lieges then suggested that the only way to fix this problem was to make someone into a Hitobashira.
Why though? Like that. Okay.
According to author Kazundo Fukushima, quote, Oshisu, a one-eyed woman who had 2 children and lived a poor life, was selected to be the Hitobashira.
That's so wrong.
I know.
Poor lady.
But she was like fine with it, apparently, according to this legend.
Wow.
She resolved herself to become one on the condition, so that her only request was that she would do this willingly if one of her children would be made a samurai.
Oh, okay.
So-
Okay.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's like a trade-off.
Not both. Not both. It's your
Right.
life.
I know.
I know.
I guess she was like, well, I do have one eye, so it's like one son.
One eye for one son.
Yeah, right. Okay. So she was buried under the central pillar of the castle's keep, which is like a tower.
Uh-huh.
And soon after that, the construction of the castle's keep was successfully completed, and like all of the stones stopped falling down in this one area of the perimeter.
Right.
Wow.
Like fence.
But now they've got ghosts. So at what cost?
Exactly, but now they've got ghosts. But Katsutoyo was transferred to another province, and her son was not made a samurai. Her spirit felt resentful.
Oh, of course.
And made
Duh.
Yeah, obviously. Like, this is, look, if we've learned one thing on this show that transcends all cultures, it's don't fuck with
With it,
people's
yeah.
dying wishes.
Yeah,
okay?
yeah,
Because
yeah.
that's how you get a ghost. So her spirit was so angered by this that she made the moat overflow whenever the spring rain
Good.
came. And whenever the season of cutting algae came in April every year.
Mm.
And so people would call that rain. So this rain started as soon as this like haunting happened, and it didn't stop for years. And so people in the area referred to this as the rain caused by the tears of Oshitsu's sorrow. And they erected a small tomb in order to soothe her spirit.
And did it work?
Well, there was a poem handed down that says, so this is like a poem that is like a culture, like a historical poem,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
guess,
yeah.
that they find in the history books of this town. And it says, the rain which falls when the season of cutting algae comes is the rain reminiscent of the tears of the poor Oshitsu's sorrow.
Right.
And it has been commented that the instability of the walls of the castle was actually likely caused by the poor design of the castle. But now people say, like, no, it was definitely because like her last wishes weren't carried out. And so now she's like flooding
Well, yeah,
everything.
maybe the design was poor because her last wishes weren't carried out.
Yes, it could be.
She did like if the whole thing is that the human pillar makes like engineering, like feats of engineering. What there's a fucking word for this. I don't know what it is. Makes like
you're on it.
architecture good.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
guys. Then like if they didn't do that, then the architecture's bad. Because it was
Right.
the other story the same deal. Like
Which one? The
similar-
bridge?
Yeah, the bridge type thing. It's like, oh, like
But the
we
bridge
couldn't figure
was
out the bridge.
successful. The bridge was
because
successful.
because the human pillar worked. But it's like always something about engineering or like yeah, it's always something about like the building or, you know.
Yeah, definitely. And now you asked me, so did this shrine like soothe her soul? And it's undetermined because apparently these rains still happen. The castle obviously has not gotten more structurally sound over the years.
Well, I would still
So-
be pissed too. I'm like, the whole thing was you're supposed to make my son a samurai.
Yeah, like I don't want a shrine.
yeah, I could have just
Yeah.
I could have been alive with the
Right.
same outcome as now.
Exactly.
You know?
Okay, so now here's the last little thing that I researched about this topic. So, although it is unsure whether or not this legend of human sacrifice actually took place in Maruoka Castle, many authors have noted that the castle itself has always been steeped in mystery because the castle is also known as Kasumigajo or Mist Castle, like a castle with mist.
Oh.
Due to the legend that whenever an enemy approached the castle, a thick mist would appear to hide it. So in some ways it was like
Oh.
blessed, and in other ways it was
Yeah.
cursed.
Well, maybe it's self-preservation, you know? Like
Right.
the spirits preserving themselves.
Right. Maybe she doesn't want to not have a home. She's just
Yeah.
also pissed.
Yeah.
So Maruoka Castle is actually not the only castle thought to have a Hitobashira in its construction, because according to Wikipedia, the Matsu Castle is also said to have been constructed on a human sacrifice buried under the castle's stone walls. And it was a woman, and her name has never been recorded, and nothing concerning her is remembered, except that she is thought to have been a beautiful young maiden who was fond of dancing, and is referred to as simply the Maiden of Matsu. And after the castle was built, a law was passed forbidding any woman to dance in the streets of Matsu, because the woman who was sacrificed loved to dance. And if someone would dance around the castle, then her spirit would shudder and the castle would shake from top to bottom like an earthquake.
What?
So Reina, I am so interested to hear, had you heard of any of these little things that I just talked about?
I've heard of Hitobashira before, but I thought it was all just absolute folklore, or just story fodder, I guess.
Right.
But yeah, I've definitely heard of it before. I've heard of it as kind of you want to sacrifice a body for a really large castle, specifically for really, I guess, sacred things, right?
Yeah.
Not religion sacred, but something for the emperor, for example. And I thought Hitobashira were done to kind of be the person that is getting sacrificed wants to be sacrificed for the sake of the country or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
So I always thought it was kind of a positive thing. Not really, but I didn't know that it was so cursed.
Yeah.
Well, okay, I will say that in my research I did see some notes, different people had written different things about it was meant, some people who think it's not real, right? That it's just a piece of folklore,
Totally.
that this story is just meant to be sort of an allegory that's supposed to inspire you as a Japanese person to embody this spirit of self-sacrifice for the greater good.
Right. That is what I thought it was. I don't really know a lot about Hitobashira, but of the very acute knowledge that I have from it, I really thought it, like you said, it was a positive thing. It was supposed to be if you sacrifice yourself, something good will come from it. And also Japan's a really homogenous country. So we all are supposed to work together. The idea is that one person's sacrifice is going to benefit everyone else. And
like an allegory.
Yeah. So I thought it was supposed to be like that. Now it's scary.
Well, I think maybe it can be both, right? Maybe first of all, it might not even be real. That's why I'm saying alleged. But let's say it was real. I mean, it sounds
I bet it was real.
Yeah. It sounds like a lot of the people, other than the lady that was kidnapped and the guys that were kidnapped, I guess. But it sounds like the last two that were sacrificed for castles, it sounds like they accepted their fate, right? The problem is when people don't respect the wishes of the person who sacrificed themselves.
Right.
I would agree with that.
Yeah. That's my takeaway from that story. And then Reina, do you have another one for us?
Oh yeah.
I do. I want to talk about Teke Teke.
Yes.
Which I do. I have an issue with, so I'm going to bring that up as well.
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay, so
hot take.
Teke Teke, first and foremost, is an onomatopoeia for the sound of something crawling by.
Ew.
Yeah. It's
like a
basically
spider
exactly
crawling
actually.
across.
Yeah,
Skittering. Skittering.
So that's what makes it really weird. But Teke Teke is basically the ghost of a schoolgirl that fell onto the tracks when she was going home one day. She fell onto train tracks and a train ran her over.
Like a train goes.
See, that's what okay. Oh my God, you're so smart. That's what I was thinking. I'll explain the discrepancy in a minute. But so the train just ran over her body, but split her perfectly in half. No. Her bottom half and her top half were just completely split, right? Okay. Yeah, it's messed up. And the problem is that I think there's a lot of potential backstory behind it where I think maybe the girl was bullied and therefore suicidal. So maybe she wanted to fall on the tracks. The other fact is that maybe she fell and no one tried to help her. Okay. So that's why she's vengeful. So there's two potential
tragic.
reasons. Right, exactly.
Yeah.
In one way or another, there's a reason why she's vengeful.
Yeah.
And it's not like truly an accident, for example, right? And so this ghost is only the top half of a schoolgirl, which is just already visually freaky.
Right.
Yeah, no, not a fan.
Yeah. And she haunts people that are walking alone at night near train tracks. And you'd think she would push them onto train tracks or something, but no, she goes around and slices them in half with like a sickle, which is really strange and like super not Japanese. Well, actually, I guess we have kama, which are basically like old school like sickles. So I guess it kind of makes sense. But like visually in my head, that like weird sickle imagery is kind of strange. But she will slice you in half because the idea is that she wants to take you the way she was taken. And she kind of wants to steal your legs. So the motivations, right. There's like two different motivations there, right? Like she's mad that you're like alive and she's mad that you could just like be walking around. And so she wants to kill you in the way that she died, but she also kind of wants to take your legs.
She's resourceful. Two birds with one stone.
Right. Exactly. She's actually kind of smart.
Is she
and the point
trying to use your legs? Like she's
looking for a good fit, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why she's like lurking around. Or she doesn't like that people aren't grateful to be alive, for example. And like, why are you walking around at night when it's like dangerous out, for example? I think that's maybe a little bit of the logic, which is again why I think people tell this story to be like, don't go out at night, like where it's dark, you could be dangerous. So the reason why it's called Teke Teke is because when she's crawling around, they're saying that like that's the noise it makes. But just like Natalia said, I thought the Teke Teke noise was supposed to be the train tracks, like the train, like yeah, exactly. That's what I thought it was supposed to be. But I even like looked it up, and everything really does say that it's the sound of her crawling, which I can't really make sense of because like she doesn't have feet, and if she's dragging her upper body around, it's gonna be like maybe her nails. Yeah, right. I figured it would be something like that.
Because she's gonna put her two hands out in front and then use them to pull herself forward, and then pull herself forward.
Unless she's like has a really strong core, and so she's just like you kind of like planking the whole time. Like
that is way scarier somehow.
I feel like a little Japanese schoolgirl isn't that strong though.
Yeah, I mean maybe not.
She was really beefy,
but that would be much scarier. Is like first of all, it's a Japanese schoolgirl that like died tragically and is only like has no bottom half. Yeah. But then also she's just hella buff. Yeah. And is ready to like plank the shit out of your body.
Like
she's
no
real
longer
strong.
Not formidable. Like she can fuck you up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And this is the picture. Let me show Natalia. This is the picture that pops up on Wikipedia of it.
Oh, that's weird. Okay.
Is she holding a sickle?
Yes. Yeah. Like the Grim
See,
Reaper.
Isn't that weird?
It is weird. I feel like whoever I'm from a writing perspective, I feel like it's missing the point. So like if the point is that she's vengeful over the way she died, then she should try to kill you, like you said, in the same way that she died, by pushing you on the tracks. Or perhaps if you wanted to get abstract with it, then if she felt like no one was helping her, then maybe her ghost like pushes you into other situations where no one will help you, you know? But like the sickle doesn't really make sense because is she upset that she was cut in half, or is she upset that she died and no one helped her? Or you know what I mean? Like I don't want to speak for her, but
from far be it from us to speculate on how Teke Teke feels. But,
exactly. But the sickle thing kind of makes it seem like she's lost her own point. But perhaps that's like makes her even crazier, you know? Like maybe she started off as this vengeful ghost who like had a plan and everything, and then she's like, fuck it, I'm just gonna kill people.
Right. It could be. Also, I feel like the scythe or sickle is like Natalia did a whole episode on the Grim Reaper. And like why he holds one, and it has to do with like the end of harvest season.
Like you're reaping what you sow.
So I wonder, maybe that could be why she has one. It's more figurative.
It's like poetic, like, oh, I'm gonna reap what you sow because humanity was bad to me, and now I'm coming to harvest your soul.
That's fucking scary.
Yeah.
Okay,
that is scary.
I have to ask, Reina, have you, first of all, okay, like with the Ouija board thing, do you know anyone who's ever played that before?
Yes.
clutching
And
her
I
tongue.
hate it. So I used to go to Japanese school a lot. So I went to Japanese school in New Jersey on Saturdays. And I also went to Japanese school here in Japan during the summers when I'd visit, because school is like year round here and it's hell. And in the Japanese school in New Jersey, I think my friends wanted to play it and I just went home that day. Like I literally was like, no way, like that's not happening near me, around me. I went home. And then in my Japanese school here, so I went to an elementary school here, and I think I was bullied here in Japan because like I look weird. I'm good.
Wait,
but,
why do you look weird?
I don't. Yeah, you look beautiful.
Oh, I'm like, stop it.
Your skin, by the way, need to drop that skincare
Yeah.
routine. Text it to me after we're done because your skin is glowing.
Oh my God. I just drink a lot of water, but I will say the water
that's my
here is
problem.
incredible. Yeah, the water is like amazing here, and I drink like gallons of it.
Good for you.
But okay, so when I was younger, again, I'm in like the deep countryside. Everyone looks the same. Like everybody has the same black short haircut with like bangs, and they like wear the same types of clothing. And obviously, since I grew up in New Jersey, my mom like dressed me kind of like funky.
Yeah.
So, and also my attitude is huge. Like I'm just like, the energy just is not Japanese. It's not like a tame little Japanese girl. It's this like angry old man.
Yeah.
So I think they maybe like smelled that off of me.
Right.
And yeah, I was like, they did not like me.
They thought
and
you
some
were
people
haunted.
liked me.
Basically, is what you're
Probably.
saying.
Yeah, which is fair.
Yeah.
Like that's fair. But they really didn't like me. And actually, there is one bullying thing that happened that I really didn't like. We have swim classes in Japanese school during the summer. There's like a pool attached to every school. Yeah. And they took my clothes. So like I had to be in a bathing suit like the whole day. I know. It's like I could talk about it now because it's like funny.
Oh, but that would be my fucking nightmare. First of all, being in a swimsuit in front of my peers in high school
I
was my
just
nightmare.
Thinking yeast.
Well,
like,
of course
you're
that
stuck
too.
in a swimsuit all day. Like,
no, that's my nightmare.
No, maybe they were just like fucked up and like thought you were hot and like wanted to see you
honestly,
more.
that's probably what it was.
You know, and they're like, when we take your clothes, we can stare at her body all day and be weird. You know.
Okay,
I'm sorry to bring your trauma up. Like, sorry if you didn't want to talk about that and we forced it out.
No, honestly, not at all. Like, it's totally fine. I wasn't really traumatized, but I was actually like, I'm a really happy, normal kid. So I would just be like, what's happening? Why is this happening to me?
That's so weird because I mean, this in its own way is problematic, but I always like considered like Japanese school children to be very polite. It's kind of like part of the culture, but they're not. No,
they are so mean. Bullying here, like what I received was like a gentle love tap. Bullying here is horrific. Maybe it's better now, but like it's they will bully you so hard so dangerously.
There's no like programs or anything like that, because I feel like bullying here in the United States is like really frowned upon now.
Yeah,
you know, like you get kicked out of school, there's like no tolerance policy, but that's not reached Japan yet, or perhaps in this time had not. Wow.
Maybe. Well, definitely when I was younger, not like people like bullying is bad in Japan. And there's such groupthink in Japanese schools. And the idea is that like, you don't want to stand out. You don't want to be the one that's different. Right, so you will end up joining in on the bullying because you don't want to be on the side of like protecting or saving or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, Japan, like there's like some deep-seated messed up stuff. I could probably go on about it. But anyway, the whole point is it was really popular when I was young, the Kokkuri San thing, right? So people would do it a lot, like a lot. And they would specifically sit like in the back of the classroom near a window to like allow Kokkuri San to come in and stuff.
No.
So
don't like it.
Yeah. And it would just be like,
what do you ask Kokkuri San? Like, what are things you ask them?
You can ask him for silly stuff like, will the boy that I like me back? Or, you know, stuff like that. But the problem is he never is there for you. Like he just comes because you allowed a gateway to open up.
Right.
Like he's not there for you. Like he'll trick you and he'll be like, yeah, the boy will like you, but like, I'm going to take your mom. Like, it's just weird shit like that.
No. He's a fox.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also
Exactly,
feel like
so-
if I was a spirit and someone was like, "Does the boy that I like me?" I'll be like, "Bitch, find out." Like, I don't. How the fuck am I supposed to know?
Yeah.
You know, like, go talk to them. All right, are we done
Exactly.
here?
Yeah. So you played this in Japanese school?
No, I never
No.
played it. I will
Oh,
never.
she was
I've
too
never
scared.
played it. I won't even like witness it. If I see it happening around me, I'll just go away. Like
think
I'll just
I'm-
disappear.
I feel like I have like a bully seed in me because like hearing that about you, like I had this weird intrusive thought where I was like, what if we just like forced her to play it?
Yeah, no, don't worry. We won't do it.
I mean, like I'll play the Ouija board in broad daylight
Yeah.
while other people can see us. Like I have conditions, but I'll do
Right.
it.
Yeah.
Right. That makes sense.
And then
yeah.
do you know anyone who has seen Teke Teke?
No, actually. I've never known anyone to actually know Teke
they'd be
Teke, but they
dead.
do talk about it. Like, don't go out at night because Teke Teke is around, or like, don't go, like, don't come home. Don't get on the last train, for example, right?
Right.
Like, it's like stuff like that.
Right.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
that
yeah.
makes
Don't
sense.
get on like the final train at night, or
so-
like, don't get off at a train station that has no like lights or like lamps or stuff like
Yeah.
that, because like Teke Teke might see you, kind of thing.
That
Yeah, but
like it's
I've
already
never-
scary enough to be on the last train as a woman, or like getting off at a train station where there's like no
Totally.
one around and it's dark, and now you're adding that there's like this bitch that's gonna
This
cut you in half.
planking
Yeah.
schoolgirl. That's,
Yeah.
coming
That's
for
like-
This
your
beefy
legs.
girl that's
Yeah.
gonna come get you.
So scary.
Oh my
You know
God.
what? You know what makes like Japanese folklore and things like that so scary is because they're taking situations that are just so commonplace. Where like I
Right,
feel
right.
like a lot of our Western ghosts are like you have to be in a haunted house, or like it's like it's not just like, oh, you know, you're in a cab going somewhere and there's a cab ghost, or there's
Right.
like
Right.
a train ghost, where that's like part of your everyday thing, you know?
Right.
That
Yeah.
you bring up such a good point. That's exactly why it's so terrifying,
Yeah.
I think. And also, like what you mentioned before about the grudge just scares the crap out of me, because she's just there in like mundane, regular ass
Right.
situations. And also, the whole point of why the grudge was so particularly scary to Japanese people is because she completely demolished any idea that anything good and positive like this is going to protect you. For example, and
Oh.
one scene, the grudge came out of a home shrine. Like that's
Oh,
never supposed to
yeah.
happen. The shrine's supposed to protect
I
you.
actually totally didn't like it. Didn't even phase me because I
No.
wasn't like I was just watching it, you know. But now
totally,
that
yeah.
now that you say that, I remember that, and you're right. Like I was just
That
like,
is
oh,
fucked
smoke's
up.
coming out. That's scary. But
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, that would be like if a demon came out of like a crucifix.
Well,
or,
I think that's why, like,
Yeah.
in the U.S. we have all these nun horror movies,
Yeah.
right? 'Cause
Oh,
it's like
oh,
it's
so
supposed to
scary.
it's
not
like if you're in
happen.
the church, there's nothing supposed to be able to get you, right? And then there's just
Right.
this fucked up nun coming
Right.
out of like a painting of Jesus Christ, and she's
Right,
here to
right.
take
yeah,
your soul.
yeah,
Yeah.
totally,
Exactly. There's
is
definitely kind
especially
of like a
fucked.
sacrilegious feeling
Yeah.
behind
Yeah,
it. Like, why
exactly.
would the one thing that's supposed to save you not be the thing that gets you?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. Oh man, that's so fucked. Okay, well, I have another one, Reina,
Oh,
that
yeah,
I am
hit
ready
me.
to share.
Oh,
Okay.
bring it.
So I was telling Reina, I was like, here are some of the things that I was kind of thinking of, and she said that she had never heard of this one before.
Ooh.
So I'm very excited to share it.
What is it?
So I begin again with a question for Natalia.
Oh,
Natalia,
uh-huh.
as you know,
Mm.
Japan has an extremely rich and impressive history involving literature and the arts, correct?
Yes, best culture
Natalia,
on this planet.
I-
I won't say more because
I cut it out every time she does this, Reina, but every time we cover anything that's even tangentially related to Japan, Natalia goes off on this rant about how Japan is the best culture. They have everything's the best.
is.
And then I always cut it out because I'm like, you can't.
it look, when I went to Tokyo and I went up in the fucking Tokyo sky tree and I looked out over all of the city and I saw it all planned out like just I knew it was God's favorite city. And I'll say it until I die because it's like just perfect streets everywhere, like just the way that you recycle things, like the just everything is just fucking perfect about it. And I know there's a lot of dark things about it that aren't perfect, like the suicide rate and all that, and everyone's like all stressed out and like working, and there's like, you know, the sex is bad and all of whatever. But just how clean it is, and like just how organized it is, and how like you get on a train and there's not like weird people in your face, like they like respect your shit.
It's
I
true.
like that. It's like
true.
a place.
It is impressive.
It's a place where like the social norms are like binding, and like it makes me feel safe.
Well, everyone, I'm going to leave it in this time, but
Yeah,
I'll put
thank
a
you.
trigger warning in front of it that
Okay.
Natalia's talking about Japan. It's literally just going to say trigger warning, Natalia talks
What,
about
who would
Japan.
be triggered? Someone who's like, actually, God's favorite culture is da-da-da-da-da. Like, it's just, it is what it is.
Okay, it is what it is. All right, so your answer was yes, that Japan
Yes.
is known for its rich and storied artistic
Yes,
history.
it
Okay,
is.
all right. So one famous poet from Japanese history is a man named Yaso Saiju, and I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. I will put it up on the screen along with a photo of him, who lived from 1892 to 1969. And what made him famous is that in 1919, he released his 27th collection of poetry entitled Sakin, which loosely is supposed to translate to gold dust.
What? What do you
Oh,
mean?
sucking. Okay.
Sakin?
He's made of gold dust?
No, this is just the name of a book of poems that he published.
Oh.
Okay. So, but one of the poems.
What? I don't know how I got that either. That time I was truly like, oh, this is bitch is dumb.
Natalia loves treasure, so I get it. Yeah, you were just like, wait, gold dust? How do I get it? Okay, no, it was the name of one of his books.
Okay.
So one of the poems found in this collection became extremely popular during the time, and not only in Japan, but also throughout the world.
All right.
And this poem is known as Tomino's Hell. And Natalia, I'd like to start the discussion by having you read this poem aloud for our audience.
Yeah, okay.
And because I want to make it interactive.
Yes,
you know?
please.
But I do just want to make a little note here. I do want to say that obviously this poem was originally written in Japanese, and the version we will be reading is in English. And
So it's not gonna
anyone,
rhyme?
and anyone who's ever like worked in translation, like Reina, I know you do, knows that it is notoriously difficult to translate poetry from one
Right.
language to another, because poetry is often full of like symbolism and
Right.
figurative imagery and words and phrases that have double meanings. But
yeah.
but when you translate it, the double meaning is lost, or the
Right.
symbolism is lost because maybe
Totally.
it doesn't carry over to the
Yeah.
next
that makes
culture.
sense.
So I just want to say that this particular translation was done by Tara A. Devlin, who I've cited on this show multiple times.
You love that person.
I don't know why she doesn't return my affection. Just kidding. I've never told her that I love her before. But has a really great podcast called Koabana and another called Toshiden, where she talks about creepy shit in Japan.
Yeah.
And she did this translation. But I just wanted to like kind of give that like preamble to just say like maybe
Okay.
if you're a Japanese listener and
Right.
you're reading it in like Japanese, it could be different. Okay.
So what you're saying is this poem is exactly translated perfectly from
Right.
Japanese
Yeah.
into English.
That's what I'm
and take
saying.
it
And
for
there's
everything it's worth.
no other translation.
Right.
Flawless.
Okay.
Yes.
Perfect.
So, Natalia, I would like you to
Okay.
read this poem, and you can pull this closer to you. For everyone
take
watching
this.
who's confused, I have a TV tray in front of me.
Okay. It says Tomino's Hell. Oh, okay. This is, oh, right. I need the charm, I feel like, to
Yeah.
read this. His older sister vomits blood, and his
Wow.
younger sister vomits fire. And the cute Tomino vomits his soul. Tomino falls into hell alone, the darkness of hell where even flowers don't bloom. Is it Tomino's older sister wielding the whip? The blood on the whip weighs on his mind, beating and striking, yet not hitting at all. There is but a single road to the eighth and most painful hell. Would you request guidance into the darkness of hell from the golden sheep or the nightingale? Put as much as you can into the leather sack, in preparation for the journey into the most painful of hells. Spring comes to the forest and the valley, and to the 7 twisting valleys of dark hell. The nightingale in the cage, the sheep in the cart, and tears in the eyes of cute Tomino. Cry, nightingale, in the forest rains. He screams as loud as he can in yearning for his younger sister. The cries echo throughout hell, and the buttercup blooms. Through the 7 mountains and 7 valleys of hell, the cute Tomino's solo journey. If they are in hell, bring them. The mountains of pins and needles. The red pins don't stand out as a sign leading to cute Tomino. Well, at least they got spring there, is all I have to say.
Yes.
What the
That's
hell,
so
man?
fucked up. Like, he's vomiting his... I mean, first of all, that poem... I have so many thoughts about that poem.
Well, let me tell you why this poem rose to popularity, because it's pretty fucked up.
It's great,
right?
though.
It's great. It's
I
beautiful.
get it. I understand it.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, it's really fucked up. Whoever
is.
wrote that has some serious issues.
Well, I'll tell you, it is said that you should only read this poem with your mind and never out loud.
What the
Wow.
For if you read the poem aloud, you will surely die.
Oh, thanks
Now-
you.
No.
Thank you.
Now, don't worry, Natalia. You're going to be fine, because the curse only works if you read it in its original translation.
Oh, right. And it's not.
Oh, good.
So don't worry. I wasn't being an asshole. And according to what Tara A. Devlin, who apparently I'm in love with, writes on koabana.net. So this is the reason why this poem like became like super popular. In 1974, a movie called Denin ni Shisu, which translates to die in the countryside, was released. And it was written and directed by Terayama Shuji. And he apparently had read this poem, Tomino's Hell, and was like, wow, this is so beautiful, such striking imagery. I'm going to turn this into a movie.
Oh.
So he turned it into a movie, and then he apparently died like a couple years after making the movie, and like he was pretty young and like pretty healthy. He apparently died right after making it, and then also he was having an affair with a university student, and around the same time that he died, she died in an unrelated incident, and she was even younger.
What?
And apparently though, like the part of the folklore and like urban legend, it actually didn't reach like the peak of popularity until 2004, because there was a book called Kokoro wa Korogaru Ishi no Yuni, and the author Yamota Inuhiko claimed that if you by chance happen to read this poem out loud, after you will suffer from a terrible fate which cannot be escaped.
Great.
And then like people started sharing after, so 2004, like what was rising to popularity at the time, the internet, right?
Yeah.
So like anonymous message boards in particular.
Right.
So we learned during our Ningen episode about 2channel, which is kind of like Japanese 4chan.
Yeah, exactly. It's the worst place ever.
Right. Okay. So people were like talking about like, okay, like this book just came out and said this thing. Let's look at the poem. Oh shit. Look, like this guy made a movie about it. Oh shit. The guy died under really mysterious circumstances. Oh shit. His mistress died under really mysterious circumstances. And so it like people started perpetuating this rumor of like, if you read this out
it's
loud,
kind of like The Ring. Like if you see this,
if you see this
you'll
video.
die.
Right.
But actually, if you look at the like context for this poem, around the time that he wrote this poem, it was actually the year after World War I, and he was only 26 years old and had just lost his father in the war. So symbolism in the poem hints at themes of war. For example, like you know that last line you read about like little red pins.
Yeah.
Apparently, and maybe Reina, I don't know if you would know this or not, but I guess in World War I and World War II, there was this tradition where soldiers would have these like patches almost, and they would have 1,000 red stitches on them, and it was supposed to be from 1,000 different women. And it was thought to be like, this is what we're fighting for. We're fighting for our women. This is going to keep us safe.
Oh.
And so apparently the end of the poem where he's talking about like, oh, there's all these little red pins that are like, you know, scattered around as like he floats forward, whatever, by himself. Apparently that hints at themes of like, I lost my dad in the war, and this like charm didn't keep him safe, and now Tomino's all alone, and like his soul has left him. And so it's kind of like maybe this is just a poem about how it feels to lose a loved one in a violent way. But people on 2channel think that no, it's literally about like you will go to hell if you read this poem out loud.
Holy shit, it's so scary.
I know, right? And so all these people start like, of course, like reading the poem aloud and reporting back their findings.
Right.
And so according to what people wrote on 2channel, which obviously like who knows, apparently one woman was struck by lightning after reading the poem aloud after being at a party. So she was at a party and people were talking about like, Yes, yeah. And people were talking about
God
like there's
damn.
this cursed poem, and then they were like, oh, I don't want to read it. I don't want to read it. And she was like, I'll read it. This is bullshit. So then she reads the poem out loud, and apparently after she left the party, she was just struck by lightning.
Wow.
And then another person posted that one of their friends just disappeared after they had dinner together when they were discussing Tomino's hell. And then the girl also didn't believe it and was like, I'm going to read this poem out loud. Like, ha ha ha. And then she just disappeared and nobody ever saw her again. To this day, nobody knows what happened to her. And then in another example, a man died when a tree fell on his vehicle only 2 hours after reading the poem aloud.
No.
And in still another example, a seemingly healthy college student died of a brain aneurysm immediately upon finishing reading the poem.
And these are all very like strange ways to die.
right, all
Yeah.
very. It's not
Freak accidents.
Yeah, freak accidents.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Haunting.
What?
yeah. So Reina, you had never heard of this before. You said.
No, and it's so terrible. I actually was gonna say there is a lot of interesting imagery, or rather like similes about hell, because I just recently learned this because my grandfather passed away last year, and we have to do this whole big ritual where we like dress him in this like scary white kimono, and he has all these things like we have to put these like reed slippers on him, and we give him like a bamboo cane, and it's basically to prepare him for his journey to get to heaven.
Oh.
And there
Oh,
are
wow.
supposedly like a lot of things you have to do, and it takes a very, very long time. And there are, how do I explain this? There's a lot of, I guess, like obstacles that are in the way, and they're all kind of like verbally related to what we normally do in life. So, you know how in the poem they mentioned there's like a mountain or a hill with needles?
Yeah.
in it?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's a real thing. Well, I keep saying real.
It's a real
When
belief.
we do, yeah, when we do these like funeral rituals, we believe that there is a mountain of needles that you have to walk through safely in order to get to like the next thing, to get to heaven.
Oh,
And
no.
while you are mourning somebody that is like your relative that's, you know, passed away in the last year or so, you're not supposed to do any needlework. Like you're not supposed to sew stuff,
Oh.
and you're not supposed to like use like a sewing machine
Oh,
or
that's
do
really
like needlepoint.
interesting.
Yeah, you're essentially not supposed to like be stabbing things with a needle, because it will force them to go through that needle mountain for longer, or they'll get stuck on needle
Oh.
mountain. So yeah, there's like this
that's
whole thing
fucked.
about, yeah. And I didn't know that because like last year, as I said, my grandfather passed away, and my grandmother like sews all the time. She sews a lot. That's like her thing. And she wasn't doing it. And I was like, oh my God, she must be so depressed that her
Yeah.
husband passed away. No, it's fine. She was just like, oh no, I just don't want him to get stuck, you know, all these
On
Needle
needles and
Mountain.
stuff.
So
Yeah. And I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? And my mom had to explain it to me. But yeah, it's a thing.
is
So
that like Shinto belief, or is that what or is that just Japanese, like just
I think
common?
it's
What is that?
Buddhism.
Buddhist?
Yeah, I think it's Buddhist, because I learned that all like death related or funeral related rituals are Buddhism for us.
Okay.
And it is like specifically Japanese to have both Shinto and Buddhism, and they like work together, but they sometimes like battle against each other in terms of like what's supposed to be prioritized. But yeah, it's really bizarre. I think
So
there's
interesting to me.
yeah, there's like a whole list of things that you can and can't do, only because the words are similar or like they're symbolic and they happen in your daily life. So you don't want to like confuse the spirits that are
Right.
helping guide your
Mm,
soul
That makes
up there.
sense.
So yeah. So yeah, the needle mountain thing freaked me out. I'm not
Yeah.
gonna lie. That poem is very scary.
Yeah,
I'm
that
very not
poem-
into it.
I know I was kind of tripping over my words because like as I was reading it, I could see the next line, and like the next line was worse than the line I was reading, and I was like, "Oh wow,
No,
this is haunted."
you did a beautiful job reading it. How do you feel having spoken these words aloud? But don't worry, you're knowing that it's just the translation you read.
You know, I just feel the pain of the person who wrote that,
Right.
and in its own way, that is haunted. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
definitely.
to just feel that human suffering.
Very
like when
beautiful
you see,
poem.
yeah, beautiful. But like when you see someone suffering and you're not, and you want to help them, but you can't.
Yeah.
And I feel that like it's like a sadness for
Right.
that person who's passed.
Definitely.
You know,
Yeah.
because that's rough. But it's like it's very haunted. But I feel like normally when I feel like hauntings, it's kind of like a surface level of like, ooh, that's a dead person, that's scary, or like, EBGBs, where that is like so much worse than
Yeah.
that. That's just like a bone chilling, like
Oh, absolutely.
soulless. Yeah. So
Yeah, it feels deeper.
it
Yeah.
does. It does. It feels
Yeah.
like really, really deep.
It's definitely like I've heard like of that poem a couple years ago. I heard of it, and I didn't realize I thought it was just like if you hear or read the poem, you're
Yeah.
fucked. And so for like several months afterwards, I was like, when do I die? Why did I like research this? Why
Yeah.
did I read this? Because I just stumbled upon it. But then when I was doing it for this episode, I was like, oh, it's actually fine because I've never heard it in Japanese and I've
Yeah.
never said it in Japanese.
Yeah, it's so that was so creepy. It's almost like kind of like disrespectful to reduce it down to like they were doing on 2chan or whatever, to like this like game, you know what I mean? Because like that, it's like I felt, even though it was translated, I felt the
pain
of it.
of the author, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, all of Japan is haunted. Like
yeah.
it's so, I know you love Japan and like I love it
I
too, but it
do.
is so damn haunted. It's so, everything is so old and scary.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I said this a long time ago to you, Reina. I don't know if you remember, but I like had this Japanese boyfriend.
I
and-
remember.
Yeah, a long time
You asked
ago.
me to find him.
I know. I was like, find him, bring him back. Like it was kind of
Oh,
like a running
yeah.
joke, but serious on
Yeah,
Sugar
I
Pine
do remember that.
podcast. I would like beg for my ex back. Like it was a joke, but it was also serious. Okay, so he was like Japanese, and he would tell me all of this like stuff from Japan, and I don't like, it is very haunted. But I remember when we went to Japan, I took pictures of Okihagara because I was like, oh look, the sign says like Okihagara. He made me
Yeah,
delete
yeah.
them off my phone. Was saying like,
He
why?
did.
Yeah, he was like, why would you do that? Like you're making bad luck forever. Like my businesses are gonna fail. Like we're not
Oh.
gonna be able to like keep our lifestyle because like you've done this basically. And I was like, all right,
Wow.
fuck that. Like I'll delete that shit right now.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I mean, like I guess I'm a lot like him where I kind of believe it, but I think it's supposed to like happen to you. You know, it's not supposed to happen to people that are around you and stuff. It's
But-
like you cursed yourself. So
Oh, interesting. But
you're fine. I'm sure you're fine.
He-
like
I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm
but
just kidding.
pretty
No,
haunted.
No, just kidding.
But what was he? Oh, I was gonna. Okay, if I remember what I was gonna say, I'll say it again in a second.
Raina, did you
there's-
have another story?
Well, I actually do. I have to tell my Kuchisake Onna story, but I do want to mention something really interesting about Aokigahara. And like I said, Japan is like hella haunted, but there is this really beautiful side to Japan that tries so hard to gerrymander all of those haunted things into positive things.
Right.
So, you know,
Oh.
so Aokigahara is a little like freaky and scary because people go there to commit suicide.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of reasons why it's very haunted. Because we cremate our dead. Like there's no such thing as just burying a corpse in Japan. So the idea that there are just like dead bodies
Yeah.
in this mountain is just already very, very haunted for us.
Right.
Like that's
Mm.
so not okay. We totally believe in cremation and it's like a
Yeah.
whole thing. There's a whole ritual. So like flesh just being there is super not okay, or like letting it decompose in that way is just like really a negative thing. But there is this really, it's a little dark, but there's this idea that people that want to commit suicide just don't belong on this realm. And you're letting them have this like freedom to do this. So Aokigahara is actually considered a little bit of like a beautifully protected safe haven for people that are just lost on Earth because they just, they're
Oh.
souls that aren't supposed to be on Earth.
Oh,
So it's
that's
like,
interesting.
if you feel this calling to go there and like you've been unhappy and you're just like not really great at life on Earth, you go there and you feel freed, you know, where you're like,
Wow.
oh, like I understand now. Like my soul wasn't really supposed to come here. That's why I feel so lost.
Mm.
Now I've been found and my soul can now rest at ease. So it's not like entirely, totally a negative thing. It's supposed to be kind of like a very spiritual, like it's
Yeah.
okay. Like you knew you didn't belong here and that's totally fine. Like that's
Right.
how they kind of excuse it almost. And
Wow.
in a way, if you're not completely freaked out by it like I am, and you're like a really positive soul that like just wants to see the good and stuff, that is what you're supposed to like focus on. And it's really supposed to be a positive thing. It's like it's a haven for people that did not belong on Earth.
Oh,
Right.
interesting.
Yeah, that explanation is more for the people who are left behind than like the person who like is sad. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess that's also true. I mean, like, I will be honest, Japan is not like the best purveyor of psychology yet.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like it.
Yeah, it's not. It's just, it's very complicated here. They really only understand like somatoform disorders, if like, you know, have a physical issue.
Right.
So they don't really like, we have like a word for depression and it's like clinical and stuff, but I feel like they're just not quite there yet in being able to kind of like help people.
It's
in
really
that
stigmatized still.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's only just starting to become destigmatized in the US, I feel like.
Right.
So that makes sense.
Yeah.
Exactly. So in a way, Japan likes to take the more like spiritual or like semi-religious aspect of it and be like, it's okay. Like you didn't belong here. Like, and it's okay that like we as regular people on Earth, regular sounds weird, like don't understand you. Like we don't understand your pain because your soul is in pain.
Yeah.
Like we can't know that kind of thing.
Like Tomino.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I know, right?
Yeah. Could be.
So scary.
I want to hear your next story while we start time.
Okay, so my finale.
Yeah.
Okay, I love Kuchisake Onna now. I'm still gonna hold my little thing. Okay, so Kuchisake Onna literally means slit-mouthed woman, and there's a lot of different origin stories to it, but supposedly, I like the one where she's hyper innocent. The one story is that she is this really beautiful woman that is married to a very abusive like man, which just, you know, was like super common back in the day. And I do believe that she's like a really smiley girl or like a smiley wife. So she just like say hello and smile all the time to everybody. So she like everybody really likes her because she's so kind and stuff. But the husband interpreted it as like, flirting. I don't know, she's like a whore or something. Yeah, she's hoeing around.
You smiling whore.
Yeah. How dare you be in a pleasant mood when greeting others?
Exactly. Exactly. So the idea is that like, oh, you like smiling so much. And then he like slit her mouth from ear to ear. And I don't know if that's what killed her, but maybe something else killed her as well. Right. So she died. And now she goes around with a surgical mask, parading around like a normal person. Like you can't tell that there's anything wrong with her because surgical masks are totally normal in Asia.
Yeah.
So she just like walks around and she comes up to men specifically and goes like, do you think I'm beautiful? And there's this like really weird graph or like Venn diagram basically. That's like, if you say yes, she'll show you her like mouth and be like, do you still think I'm beautiful? And if you still say yes, she may not get you. But if you say like no to any of these things, she's going to get you. And I think she also wants to slit your mouth open in the way that, because she wants to kill you in the way that like she died or in the way that she suffered, or she wants a kind of like a scarlet letter. Like she wants everyone to know that like you were evil or shitty or like you thought like she wasn't beautiful or whatever. Another origin story is that she really was unfaithful, so therefore her husband, who's actually originally wasn't a bad guy, like cut her mouth open because she like cheated on him.
Him a bad guy.
Yeah,
exactly. No matter what, he's a bad guy. No matter what, he's not good. But the idea is that she is no good. Like she is the one that is unfaithful. She is the one that kind of called it upon herself, which is a weird thing to say. So therefore she, even on Earth, was a not great spirit. So now on the spiritual realm, she's like a super bad spirit. And now she just kind of wants to get everybody.
Right.
But I like to believe that she was this like happy, sweet girl that was smiley, which is why it's symbolic that he was like, oh, you want to keep smiling? Like, because that kind of is more poetic as a story and it makes more sense. But that's the story of Kuchisake Onna.
Am I getting confused, or is it true that like you try to distract her by asking a question? So if she's like, do you think I'm beautiful? You're supposed to ask her a question and then she gets confused and you can run away.
I've heard of that before.
Okay.
Yeah, where you ask something like, "Well, do you think I'm handsome?" or something like that, right? Like something
Yeah.
along the lines, but like definitely not like not so left field that she could be like, you're like not listening to me. Let me kill you
Yeah.
anyway.
Right.
It has to be a little bit along the lines of what she's talking about.
Right.
But I've absolutely heard that before.
Like you strike up a conversation with her until she
Yeah.
forgets like what she was doing.
Right.
Right. Or maybe if you're
What
like
a
super nice
typical
to her.
woman. Yeah. Just distract
Well, that would
them.
happen to me.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
like
I'd be like, oh, I forgot. What was I doing again? Was I supposed
Yeah.
to kill you or was I supposed to let you go?
oh, you're kind of cool.
Yeah, all
whatever.
right, you
If I
can go.
remember, I'll come back.
Yeah. When I remember, I'll come back and kill you or whatever I was supposed to do. Yeah. Okay, so I just Googled it because I was curious. And this is, again, Wikipedia, which is famous for being incorrect, but also maybe correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's exciting.
So they say that in some iterations of the legend, you can survive an encounter with Kuchisake Onna by using one of several methods. In some versions of the legend, she will visit an... Oh, wait, what? In some versions of the legend, Kuchisake Onna will leave the potential victim alone if they answered yes to both of her questions, though in other versions, she will visit the individual's residence later that night and murder them while they're sleeping instead of murdering
Great.
them at the time. Other survival tactics include replying to Kuchisake Onna's question by describing her appearance as average, giving the individual
Oh.
enough time to run away. Or you can
Oh.
distract her by giving or throwing money or hard candies, particularly the kind of candy known as beko ame, made of caramelized sugar, in her
okay.
direction, and she will forget what she's doing and stop to pick them up.
Wow.
Or by saying the word pomade 3 times.
pomade.
Pomade.
That one sounds fake. That one sounds like someone just edited this article and was like, like if you say the word hair gel 3 times, she runs away.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't even make any sense.
That is weird.
Yeah.
I've heard of the
I
big
have
water
heard of.
one,
Wait, I
the
have.
candy one.
The
I've
candy
heard
one?
of the pomade one though. I get it. You're supposed to confuse her by saying like I think the
Oh.
thing that I read was like you could confuse her by saying something random like the name of your
Oh.
pomade or whatever. So then
Oh.
someone took that as like the
A
truth
random
and-
object
Yeah,
that
put it-
just,
and
like
put it on
distract her with.
Wikipedia.
Yeah, on Wikipedia.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Interesting. I've definitely heard of the candy thing. I heard that like she'll have to look down to go pick it up, and that's when you can run away or
Oh.
something. Yeah.
Okay, that makes more sense than like just like a cat, like distracted or like a child. It makes more sense if you just throw something she's not sure what it is.
Yeah.
So then she's
and
like, wait, what is that? And then you can run away.
Still pretty dumb.
Yeah.
I feel like
But I mean, it really begs the question, what are ghosts? Are they similar to their human vessels that they were once in? Or is it just a shadow of that person so they don't have a brain?
yeah.
They like can't, come up with solutions on the fly to whatever they need to do.
Well, I think it's people who like didn't have it figured out on Earth, so they don't have it figured out in the afterlife. Like they can't
could be it too.
transcend, they can't figure it out. I don't know what their deal is. They need help.
Right. Could
Yeah.
be.
What
Well,
a great episode,
That was
guys.
fucking epic, Reina.
Yeah.
Thank you. I know. I see you. You've been holding your rake this whole time, and I'm like, we need one.
Yeah.
It's not even the right charm. Like it's not for like evil spirits. It's just for like health and shit. Like,
I mean, it's better than nothing.
Yeah.
that's what I was
We
thinking.
have nothing. We
We
have
have
like a
nothing.
Ningen suit that looks kind of like a penis and a Mothman suit that, well, yours is sick. I can't even make fun of it. Yours is just super sick.
I'll send you
Thank
guys
you.
a bunch of charms. I'll send you
Yes.
actual charms.
Yeah, I would
thank
love
you,
that.
Reina.
I would love that.
And anyone who's listening right now who would like to send Natalia and I a charm, you can do so by sending us a
Right.
package at P.O. Box 1658,
Oh, I actually
Camarillo, California 93011.
I actually have a charm for you, Allie.
What?
That I brought. Hold on, let me get it. out.
What?
Yeah.
Or is this,
God.
you're full of shit. You're going to hand me
No.
a bag of poop right
no,
now.
I'm not.
You're like a flaming.
She just pulled a purse out of a purse.
I
out
know,
of a
I
purse.
saw that. That was very.
Here.
No.
It looks.
Raina, this
What is
can't-
it?
This can't be good. No! I know what it is and I don't want it right now. Okay, Raina, because you're confused. This is what happened. A listener.
It looks like a diaper, man.
Oh, I'm not even
Sure.
gonna. I'm not gonna.
Sure.
No, I'm not gonna unbox it. You unbox it.
I'm not. I don't want it. I'm
Okay.
scared of it.
All right. A listener, out of the kindness of their heart, who probably is into taxidermy, we still haven't figured it out yet. They made
What?
us. They took because we're really into possums. Natalia rescued a possum last year and got it surgery.
Can you
I
see
love
this?
Possums. Yeah.
It's possum arms.
It's mummified
decapitated
possum arms.
mummified possum arms. Now, again, this person is like very talented. Clearly, they did some taxidermy shit. But they have not responded to us yet saying how they got the arms. So we are like a little like uncomfortable about like, why are there chopped up limbs in a box mailed?
It's scary
Oh
to
my
me.
God.
It's very scary to me. I'm scared.
Yeah. So until the person who sent us this responds with the origin of these arms, we're a little bit wary.
Right.
It just opened.
It opened. It opened. Oh.
Thank you so
Oh
much,
my
Reina, for
God.
coming on the show.
Yes.
Thank you for having me. This was so much fun.
I
dressing
learned
up
so
too.
much. Yes, thank you for dressing up and having fun with it. And I want you to promote all of your stuff right now because I know that you are like popping on TikTok.
Yeah.
Are
Are
oh
you?
my
Oh,
God.
wow.
I am so
You're doing
not. I mean,
Yes,
I love
you
TikTok
are.
now.
No, she does like Japanese lessons.
Oh,
and-
wow.
Yeah.
Oh, helpful
I like
shit. Okay,
hated
great.
TikTok at first. I was trying so hard not to be into it. And then I found like all these like hilarious people and now I'm obsessed. I'm just like obsessed. But yeah, please follow my TikTok then. It's just at
Yeah.
Reina Scully. Everything I do is at Reina Scully. Thank God.
Oh,
Like I'm so
amazing.
lucky.
Oh, yeah, you're
it's
like-
like a
Yeah.
random name.
Yeah, Natalia and I, our socials are so fucked up. I have
No.
like at Dogmom USA for my Twitter and then at the AL
Love
Terry
it.
for Instagram. And then
Yeah, mine's a bunch of different things. I didn't know I was gonna do this. This was like never in my wheelhouse.
Yeah. I didn't know how important branding was.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Reina, so this is the part of the show because it's 6:02 right now and we had the studio until 6, where we ask our guest to do our sign off. Now, our sign off is a different version of the same thing every episode. So it starts off, BRB gotta go. And then whatever you say next is a callback to something
Yeah.
we talked about this episode. So Natalia,
Yeah.
do you want to give some examples?
Sure, I could do like BRB gotta go distract Kuchisake Onna with some candy so I can run away or whatever.
Yeah. Or,
like-
BRB gotta go
Undig a human pillar and make
Yeah.
a bridge fall down.
yeah, BRB
whatever.
gotta go kidnap the traveler and bury
Yeah.
them under a bridge. Like it could be anything you want.
I love it. Okay. All right. BRB gotta go save Teke Teke from all the
Yeah.
trains.
Yeah, that was a good one.
That's a great
Yes.
positive one.
Perfect.
All right, guys.
Give her some legs.